In Japan, there's a method that's over 100 years old that transforms broke people into wealthy people. And the scariest part, it doesn't require you to earn more money. It only requires one thing. And that thing you're about to discover in the next few minutes. I need to tell you a story first. Because once you understand what happened to a Japanese woman in 1904, you'll never look at your money the same way again. And no, that's not an exaggeration. This is math. Simple math that most people ignore their entire lives while complaining that money is never enough. Pay attention. In 1904, Japan was a devastated country. The economy was destroyed. Entire families lived on the bare minimum. And in the middle of all that, a woman named Hani Motoko, the first female journalist in Japan, looked at her own life and noticed something that hurt. She worked. Her husband worked. The money came in. But at the end of the month, there was absolutely nothing left. Zero. As if the salary just evaporated. Sound familiar? She could have done what most people do. Complain. Blame the government. Blame the economy. Blame destiny. But she didn't do that. Instead, she sat down, grabbed a notebook, and created a system. A system so simple it seems silly, but so powerful that, over 100 years later, it's pulling thousands of people out of poverty around the world. This system has a name, Kakeibo. And before you think it's just another complicated method full of spreadsheets and difficult calculations, let me tell you something. Kakeibo literally translates to household financial book. It's a notebook, a simple notebook. But what you do with that notebook changes everything. And here's where it gets interesting. Kakeibo is based on 4 questions. Just 4. And these 4 questions have the power to completely reorganize your financial life. It doesn't matter if you earn minimum wage or $10,000 a month. It works the same. Because the problem was never how much you earn. The problem has always been what you do with what you earn. First question. How much money do I have available? It seems obvious, but most people can't answer this precisely. They know more or less. And more or less is the beginning of financial disaster. When you don't know exactly how much you have, you spend in the dark. And whoever spends in the dark always stumbles. Second question. How much would I like to save? Not how much is left over. How much do you want to save? This reversal seems small, but it's massive. Most people try to save what's left over. And guess what? There's never anything left over. The Japanese method flips the logic. First you decide how much you're going to save. Then you live on the rest. Sounds tight? It does. But it works. And it works because it forces you to do something almost nobody does. Think before you spend. And that's where the third question comes in. How much am I really spending? Really. Not how much you think you spend. How much you actually spend. Every coffee. Every snack. Every impulse purchase, every subscription you forgot you're paying for, everything written down, everything visible. And when you see it all written in front of you, something almost magical happens. You get a shock, because you realize that a huge portion of your money goes away on things you don't even remember buying. Some people discover they spend $300, $400 a month on nonsense, on things that bring no real happiness. None. And that money, if saved, in 1 year becomes almost $5,000. In 5 years, with compound interest, it becomes something life-changing. But hold on. There's the fourth question. And this one is the most powerful of all. How can I improve? This question, in Japan, is connected to another brutal concept. Kaizen. Continuous improvement. The idea that you don't need to change everything at once. You just need to improve a little. Every day. Every month. One adjustment here, one cut there, a better decision today, another one tomorrow. And over time, these small adjustments create an avalanche. And this is where the Japanese method separates itself from any other financial advice you've ever heard. Because it doesn't ask you to make a huge sacrifice. It doesn't ask you to stop living. It asks you to pay attention. That's it. Pay attention to your money. And when you pay attention, everything changes. Let me explain why this works at the brain level. When you write down an expense by hand, in a physical notebook, your brain registers it in a different way. It's not like looking at a bank statement on your phone app and scrolling up without thinking. When you write, you feel. You process. You confront reality. And that confrontation is what creates the change. The Japanese understood this over 100 years ago. We're still trying to understand it now. But there's an even deeper layer to this method. And it's this layer that explains why Japan, a small country without abundant natural resources, became one of the largest economies on the planet. The Japanese don't treat money as something emotional. They treat it as something intentional. Every yen spent needs to have a purpose, and they divide expenses into 4 simple categories. Survival, what you need to live. Rent, food, transportation, basic bills. Culture, what feeds your mind. Books, courses, learning experiences. Leisure, what gives you pleasure. Going out, entertainment, hobbies. Extras, everything that doesn't fit into the other 3. And here's the detail that changes the game. Most people who are broke spend too much on extras and almost nothing on culture. And most people who have built wealth do exactly the opposite. They spend on knowledge. They invest in learning. Because they understood a truth that hurts, but sets you free. You're not poor because of your salary. You're poor because of your decisions. And your decisions are the result of what you know. The more you learn about money, the better your decisions. Better decisions generate better results. Better results generate more money. More money with good decisions generates wealth. It's a cycle, and Kakeibo is the gateway into that cycle. Now, I know what you might be thinking. This is too simple to work, and I understand that thought. We were trained to believe that solutions need to be complex to be effective. But the truth is the opposite. The most powerful solutions are almost always the simplest. The hard part isn't understanding the method. The hard part is having the discipline to apply it every day. And that's why most people will hear this, find it interesting, and do nothing. They'll stay in the same cycle. They'll keep complaining that money isn't enough. They'll keep blaming their salary, the government, inflation, their boss life. But some, and I hope you're one of them, will grab a notebook today. We'll sit down for 10 minutes. We'll answer those 4 questions, and we'll start to change. Not tomorrow, not on Monday, not next month. Today. Because that's what separates those who escape poverty from those who stay in it. It's not luck. It's not talent. It's not inheritance. It's action. Simple, consistent, and intentional action. Hani Motoko created this system over 100 years ago. She escaped scarcity. All of Japan adopted this mindset. And today, the average Japanese person saves nearly 30% of their income, while the average American is drowning in debt. The difference isn't the salary. The difference is the method. The difference is the mindset. The difference is the decision to look at your money with honesty and say, I can do better. 4 questions. 1 notebook. 10 minutes a day. That's all that separates you from your first financial turning point. The question is, are you going to start, or are you just going to watch another video and stay the same? If this content did something inside you, if it sparked something, leave a like. That helps this video reach more people who need to hear this. Subscribe to the channel, because every week there's content that can change the way you think about money and about life. And comment below, what's the unnecessary expense you realized you make every month? I want to read it. I want to know. Because when you write it down, you're already practicing the method. See you in the next video.